Fantasy Sports Radio Network. This is the RotoExperts on the Fantasy Sports Television Network, on YouTube Live as well, because we want to go live. We want the people to talk and listen to our buddy Dr. Ray, Inside Injuries. What's going on, Doc?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing okay. We're doing all right. We're getting a little debate here when it comes to Carlos Hyde, and it's interesting. The Niners took Carlos Hyde off their injury report yesterday. Practiced in full on a Wednesday. He's a veteran. You don't see that all the time. And this is coming after a game on Sunday where he barely played in the second half, which at first we all thought was due to the injury. And then the coach said, no, it was a coaching decision. He's fine. Is Carlos Hyde fine after this hip injury?
So usually the coach sometimes says it's due to the injury and sometimes says it's not due to the injury. But statistically, if the guy has a grade 1 hip injury and he's playing through it and is not playing well, there's a good possibility that the injury has contributed to his not so good play. And so he has a grade 1 hip injury. The optimal recovery time for that is 2 weeks. And so, if he's at elevated injury risk at 19% and below average at 58% right now. But again, even though the coach is saying that it's not due to injury and he's taken off the injury report, we're projecting that he's got a grade 1 hip injury and should rest 1 more week before coming back in. Otherwise, he'll remain at elevated injury risk. So yes, I think we do still believe that he has this grade 1 hip injury.
Hey, what's going on, Doc? How you doing today, my man?
I'm good. I'm sure you're very happy the Yankees pulled it out against Cleveland.
He doesn't care.
Yes, I do care, Greg. Stop lying to the good doctor. Anyway,
I'm pumped, though.
Anyway, Doctor, don't pay Greg no attention. He's one of these new millennial Yankee fans. I've been there from day one. You know what I'm saying?
My Washington Nationals.
From the boogie down.
Yeah, I can walk to Yankee Stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Corey just wears the hat, Doc.
Greg never been to Yankee Stadium. All right, so Doc, let's enough Yankee talk. Excuse me, Doc. Pardon me. All right, clear my throat. What's up with Jordan Reed, Doc? I don't want to even pull up the app and go to the app because I don't want my phone to shut down on me. What do we got? What's the latest with Jordan Reed this week? Is this going to be a week where we can go to Vernon Davis as the backup option, or is Vernon Davis going to be out there? It looks like he's healthy right now.
Yeah, I think Vernon Davis is definitely the option. Before this, every single week, every single day, we've had him at elevated injury risk and below average. And then he had this chest injury or SC joint sprain. It's a grade 1 now. That he missed week 3, and then he tried to play in week 4, and it just did not go well. So, and then he had a bye week in week 5. So theoretically, he's had really only 2 weeks of rest, but he set himself back after trying to play in between. And so the optimal recovery time here is 3 weeks. So we still believe that he needs 2 weeks before he comes back. So if he does try to play again, I think it'll be a very, very difficult thing for him to do. So yes, Vernon Davis is still definitely very much of an option.
All right, what about Jordy Nelson? We hear
Scott is so happy with that. he stuck his nose out at me just now, Doc. He is something.
Jordy Nelson, we heard it was hamstring. We heard it was back. What can we expect from Jordy Nelson this week, health-wise?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So it was a grade 1 hamstring. Is improved now to soft tissue. So he's healing actually ahead of schedule according to our algorithm. He played in the game on Sunday, but he didn't play on the game-winning drive. And then he did practice on Wednesday. And so he has a history of a quad injury. Missed a complete game this year already with 1 quad injury. So Jordy Nelson is a guy that's got will pick up a lot of injuries over the season. The risk is the durability. He's at elevated injury risk, but he's right on the border of low injury risk and elevated. So it's not like he's a guy that's super high injury risk. So you can kind of roll the dice with him. He when he got injured, his HPF went all the way down to 36%. Now it's all the way back up to 72% above average. So putting that all together, he's improving pretty well, and so he'll be at elevated injury risk, but he's above average, and so he should be good to go as best as possibly healed for the next game coming up.
Hey, Doc, staying with the wide receiver position, I just lost Odell Beckham Jr., so Stephon Diggs is crucial to me. I know he has a history of these like soft tissue injuries, and now he's dealing with a groin. So I need some good news. I don't care if you got to lie to me.
Well, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, it'll be lying because grade 2 groin for a wide receiver is not something simple that, it's a minor tweak. It is a pretty, it's a strain. And so for a wide receiver, this is one of those things that really hamper them. And this is a 4-week optimal recovery time, unfortunately. So he's at high injury risk right now. He's definitely not playing in the next game. He shouldn't play in the game after that. Possibly, if he's ahead of schedule, he'll play in the 3rd week. But if he does play before that, unfortunately, the numbers are just too risky for him to, get out on the field before 4 weeks, in our opinion, or especially before 3 weeks.
We are talking to Dr. A, inside injuries. Matt is shaking his head off of that response when it came to Stephon Diggs. Scott mentioned Jordy Nelson a couple of moments ago. I want to talk about Jordy Nelson's teammate, Ty Montgomery, who had several broken ribs. And we talked to you last week, and you're like, listen, it would be a massive mistake if he played this week. You got to let this thing heal. I believe you said it was a few weeks before the optimal recovery time. But Ty Montgomery back at practice in a full fashion yesterday. And what part of the reason may be is because he saw how good his backup looked last week against for Green Bay against Dallas. Is Ty Montgomery going to play this week, or should he play this week?
So you made a great point there that another big side of the game is psychological, right? All of a sudden, the backup plays incredibly well. There's a lot more incentive to get back into the game. That's what I think would happen. He's actually improving on our boards very quickly. He likely had, the difference between a displaced rib fracture versus a non-displaced rib fracture. The displaced rib fracture is very risky. It could cause injury to the lung, and it's a lot more difficult to pain manage. Even though he had multiple rib fractures, likelihood is that these were all non-displaced fractures that are healing and are better to sort of pain manage. So he was a grade 3, went to a grade 2. Now he's at a soft tissue, so he's improved from grade 1 all the way to soft tissue. And so now he just needs 1 more week. So we do expect him to play in this game. But unfortunately, regardless of whether, this injury or not, we had him at elevated injury risk and below average before this injury. So the best that he's going to do is still get back to his baseline of elevated injury risk. And it's pretty high elevated injury risk at 23%. So, don't be surprised if you see some other injury that happens, in this game or next game. And, this will significantly impact him, for the rest of the season, unfortunately.
So there you go. So Ty Montgomery, you hear from Dr. A, he expects him to play on Sunday. So we'll see.
There you go.
He's expecting to play.
Doc, I'm going to try to slide 2 in right quick.
Yep.
Very immature, Scott. So, Travis Kelce. I think we all know concussion protocol. I think the fantasy player looks at the concussion protocol as is okay. He got concussed on Sunday. He'll go through the protocol. Next Sunday, he's back. But what is Travis Kelce's concussion history? Is this something that okay, well, he better take a couple of weeks or miss a game or 2 because of this? Because if he gets another one, what I'm basically is this would this be his second one in the last 12 months, or would this be his third one in the last 2 years or something like that? Because I know things get a little hairy when you get multiple concussions. What's Travis? Can he go through the protocol and get right back on the field, or is this a worry spot?
This is a worry spot, and I'll tell you why. Just look at what happened. He sustained the concussion in the first half, but he went back into the game. The sideline sort of concussion testing, I guess he passed it initially, or it just, it's very confusing to me. It's very in this day and age with the sophistication of concussion detection. That he can go back into the game and then have confusion and memory problems at halftime. What happens is that he sustained the concussion, went back into the game, boom, had further worsening, and so he set himself back. So there's no way he's going to – I mean, I'd be very surprised if he clears concussion protocol this week. He's likely not going to play this next game, and then we'll see how it goes. We're listing this as a grade 2 concussion, so the optimum recovery time is 3 weeks here. He was elevated injury risk, but above average, before this injury. And like you said, previous concussions, the more concussions you get, especially if the previous ones didn't heal completely, they are more likely to happen and get worse. And so this guy needs 3 weeks. I would not put him out this week or even next week. He needs 3 weeks to get back into this, to really get back to fully healing from this concussion.
Doc, real quick in like 20 seconds or less, Marcus Mariota.
Yep. Very, very precautious. Right? We think he could play last week. He's even more healed this week. He's at low injury risk, but below average right now. So I think once he moves into the above average category, that's when he's going to be ready to go. And so I think this week will help him, and he should start in this next game.
All right, there you go. That's Marcus Mariota. That's the injury report. That's Dr. Ray, Inside Injuries. You can hear him on Sunday mornings, a lot of Lineup Lock live show, Corey.
Yeah. You catch Doc on Lineup Block Live Sunday morning. I won't be on Lineup Block Live this week, but we'll still get Doc on, and I'm sure the Spitting Statistician and Doc will get you all the information you need.
You also can hear him each and every week here on the RotoExperts, except for next week where he's on vacation. But besides that, Doc, thanks so much for hanging out with us. See you next week.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll come back. Call over under. Either ors. Also want to preview Thursday Night Football. We'll also do our own defensive and quarterback streams. So stick around. RotoExperts. We continue on right after this.